This is TWiT.
Hey there, I'm Micah Sargent. Look, as a geek myself, I feel it's only fair if I admit something. We can be kind of hard to shop for. So what do you get for that geek in your life who has everything already? Well, a Club TWiT gift subscription, of course. TWiT podcasts keep them informed and entertained with the most relevant tech news podcasts available. With a Club TWiT subscription, they're going to get access to all of our podcasts ad-free, exclusive outtakes, behind the scenes and special content, and I love this, exclusive shows like my own Hands on Mac and Hands on Windows from Paul Thurrott, as well as the Untitled Linux Show. So purchase your geek's gift at twit.tv/clubtwit, and they will thank you every day.
At Ignite, somebody had on their PC, was it Stevie Batish? Yeah. Somebody had
I'm surprised it wasn't Jerry Nixon.
Who's that?
He was the guy that said...
Jerry Nixon. Yeah, our fall guy. Yeah. The bad man. Yeah.
Hey, Jerry, throw on a red shirt and
write another.
Don't worry about the presentation.
We're going to need you to write another blog post.
Yeah. We put the images in for you. It's fine.
Yeah. No, somebody had on their PC an image that looked like a whole different UI, supposedly of Windows 11, right, on their machine. And everybody was talking.
To the untrained eye, most people might not have. Most people would never have noticed.
So here's the question: did Mary Jo notice it?
No. And somebody showed it to me, and they're like, "Look at this! It's so different." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm not kidding. Like, what is different here?"
Wait a minute! Don't tell me!
Okay.
I have no idea. A floating task. Okay. What's this thing at the top? Is that it?
There are four differences.
Okay. There's a floating taskbar at the top.
Floating taskbar. Now, floating taskbar is this. It means it's not docked to the bottom of the screen. It's floating.
Woo!
Well, hold on a second. Now, why would you do that, right? Why? Like what? Oh, don't worry about the top.
What is copying Apple?
What is in the taskbar? Is it different? Is it different apps?
You got to go to the bottom. The bottom.
Oh, it is floating. I see what you're saying. There's something underneath it. Apple doesn't do that, right. Does it? Oh, yeah, it does. Well, yeah, it does.
It sort of does, right?
Yeah.
So the Apple, the Mac OS dock,
floats,
resizes to accommodate the number of icons that are there.
That's right.
And it floats.
Yes.
It also has animations, mouse over the icons, they kind of resize and so forth.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty clear, and I don't think there's any reason to deny that Microsoft is very clearly eyeing the Apple aesthetic. Yeah, they want something that will, appeal to people.
Because it's good.
Okay, so, but, pragmatically, I will say, not that this is a reason or a good reason to do something like this. One of the major shifts that's taking over the PC industry this year, that we're moving finally, belatedly, from 16:9 displays to 16:10, and also 3:2 in some cases. That means you have more room in the vertical. So if you're going to lose a couple of pixels down there because you're trying to be cute with the graphics, it doesn't hurt that much.
It's not functional, though, right? It's just aesthetic.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't like it.
That's right.
Put it back down there.
Okay. Okay. So the other differences are at the top. So there are three things up there.
There's this thing.
There's a floating thing in the middle. There is a thing over there on the left, which is the widgets interface, right? And then over on the right is the stuff that is the system tray today.
Oh.
So the Windows 11,
it's moved up here. Yeah.
Yeah. So when Windows 11 originally shipped, there was no widgets, right? So you had the icons were centered in the middle of the taskbar. And then you had the system tray stuff over on the right, and it kind of took the whole thing out of balance.
This is Apple-y. Right? This is so that Mac users can be right at home.
I think so.
When they switched to Windows 11.
So at some point, there were widgets, but they were just part of the normal for the middle. So eventually they moved the widgets out to the corner, and that kind of made the taskbar a little more balanced looking. But now they're taking that stuff out of the taskbar, which I think will eventually lead to them letting that thing resize with the number of icons you have, which again, not functional, but an aesthetic thing.
Yeah.
So you get that stuff out of the corners, and it makes the taskbar make a little more sense. I mean, at this point, just call it a dock and let the icons resize on mouse over, whatever. The thing that's really different between this UI, this is just a photo, but between the picture and what happens today on Mac OS, and has always happened since Mac OS 10, the original release, is, and actually dating back to classic Mac, is Mac has a system menu that's always on screen. And if you have an app running, that app's menu takes over that menu. So we don't do this in Windows. Menus are associated with the app window in Windows, right? So they're not, it's weird. They're kind of stealing space at the top and the bottom so that all the gains we just made from 16 by 10 will now go away.
Yeah.
Although there's different ways to do things, right? If you use any mobile device, you can maximize apps and the status bar at the top goes away, or maybe it overlays on top of it or whatever. So we can work around that. The problem with the system tray being the upright for a maximized window today is that that's where the Windows buttons are in a Windows window, right? The minimize, maximize, restore, and close button are all up in that corner. So they can't really be under something, And it's just a picture. We don't have any information about how this is actually going to work. Also, this may not be the final design, but I think this is. Here's what I like. Jesus, I'm doing this again. So here's. I have to give Microsoft a little credit here because assuming this is true and this is how it's going to evolve. When Microsoft went from Windows 10 to Windows 11, from a UI perspective, lots of complaints, right? It is prettier, but you're losing all this functionality, right? That's the thing I talked about earlier, the simplification. That's what they did. But I think the transition from Windows 11 to this is going to be easier. It's a more seamless transition. Like this is more like Windows 11, and thus I don't think will be a big deal for most people. But also, I kind of hate myself for saying this. It shows that there's some actual forethought happening somewhere at Microsoft about the future and about where this UI is heading. And I did not get that feeling with Windows 11 at all, because with Windows 11, I felt like they just threw out the baby with the bathwater or whatever. When they oversimplified the UI, it was like they forgot that there were all these people using Windows and that they all did things in a certain way. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. We talked about that start menu video. Remember that it was the horrible people and clearly had never used Windows designing the Windows start menu. But when I look at this, I see something a little different because now we have to just accept that Windows 11 is a thing, right? So Windows 11 is here. And if we're going to go from Windows 11 to that thing, I think it's fine. I mean, we'll see, right? No one's using it yet. We don't know what it's like, but I think it looks good.
That might be Windows 12, right? That might be.
That's right. I think that might be how they handle that. Yeah, it might be Windows 12.
I have to tell you, I'm not exaggerating or pretending here. I did not see what was that different.
I am not exaggerating when I say the second I saw this, I thought Mary Jo was not going to see any difference in this photo. But not to single you out, I don't think most people would have noticed a difference. Now
you will when you use it. I think you would notice it when you use it. Just moving the taskbar to the upper right hand corner is a significant.
No, it's not the taskbar. It's the system tray. So think about it. Think about it from this perspective. Like, what do most people? Do you even look at that stuff? The big thing is maybe the date and time is going to be in a different place.
That's the only thing I look at is the date.
I think for most people that's it. And I'll just say I use the Mac. I mean, not every day, not every week even, but I do use the Mac frequently. And the Mac has, that, like I said, the top level menu. That's what the time is up on the right, et cetera. And I don't find that transition to be particularly difficult. Mm-hmm. And in the future, I'm going to find it to be really easy because they're going to be identical. And I do think this is them moving even more toward a Mac-like aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. Huh.
Why not force Apple users to move to a Windows aesthetic?
Yeah, really, huh?
We're the majority.
Wow. Yeah. So, I think that is what we have been doing for many years, actually, right? I mean,
yes.
But
right. And let's keep going.
Look, the Mac, it's
a good strategy.
Okay. Well, except that Mac has had a lot of good things happening lately with the Apple Silicon chipsets. And, they're not, most of the Macs that most people would buy are not unreasonably expensive. I think this battle is getting a little more heated than it's been, for maybe ever. I don't know, for some long period of time, but I don't know. I'd have to look this up, but I mean, the Mac market share in the most recent quarter, it was somewhere 11%. It's double digits. So, they were stuck in 3 to 5% for like many, many years when Steve Jobs was around, but that's not really the case anymore. So maybe they're feeling a little pressure to step it up and give people less reason to walk away from Windows, than they might have before.
Or if you're switching to Windows, you'll feel more at home. Or they just think it's prettier.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'd like to think there was some forethought going on here. But yeah, maybe this is pretty.
We don't know that this is anything but just somebody.
We don't.
This guy could be running Stardock or something, right?
Right.
Okay.
We don't know
Well,
if it's a real thing or like when it's coming or if it's just a mock-up.
Listen, guys, listen.
We don't know.
One of the theories here was like this was a mistake. They didn't mean to show it. Absolutely not. As guileless as I think as Microsoft can be in some cases, this was done on purpose. I think this was done so enthusiasts will see it and have we could see the conversation that we're having like today and other people are having on
wow,
other
you think
blogs
they're
and
pretty
websites and
cagey,
stuff.
huh?
Not usually, but I in this case, I really do think this was done on purpose, and that the idea was to get it out and see how people react. And I think most of the reaction has been.
Was this at a session
positive.
or a keynote? Was this like how public was this?
It was a Surface event, wasn't it?
Was this at the Surface event?
I think it was part of the Surface event, which was tacked on to the first day of Ignite. Yeah.
So the thing
And
that
by the
happened with Panos Panay at 7 a.m, my time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So who's going to
So
watch?
I didn't notice
that
it either.
event? No, but like I said, most people won't. It's from a long distance, especially if it's just kind of in the background or
It's
whatever.
quick, yeah.
Or it flashes. It's quick. You wouldn't. Basics are all the same.
Yeah.
But people like me, people like Tom Warren, or people from Windows Central, whatever, they're going to see this for 1 second and be like, "Oh my God, that's different."
This was in the.
That's
It looks
what they
like in
wanted.
the demonstration of Microsoft Designer, which is in beta.
Okay.
I mean, right? Isn't that what we're looking at there? Is Designer?
Yeah. So here's something that's coming in the future, running on something that's coming in the future.
Right.
Right.
But with the same folded paper wallpaper.
Well, yes. So we haven't designed the Windows 12 wallpaper yet, I guess, but.
You think this is Windows 12? Is that what you think it is?
Yeah, I do. I think that's how this is going to fall out. Yep.
Or maybe a concept, one of many.
Well, you have to do something. You just have. I mean, even
right,
if
it has to look different.
Yeah,
right?
even
it
if
does.
it's pointless, you have to do something so
Yeah,
that you can distinguish
agreed.
it.
Right. You can't. If you're going to pretend Windows 12 is a big departure from
Exactly,
Windows 11, which is what they
exactly.
will pretend,
Yes,
right?
yes.
It has to look different, right?
Yes, that's exactly right. So there's.
Or if Windows 12 really is different,
Ooh.
looking different is a big part of it.
Ooh, look at you being
If a
all
floating
optimistic.
taskbar is the differentiator, we've got a problem here.
It's the fresh maker, Mary Jo. I'm ready.
All
The
right.
Windows 11 UI is already getting tired. Time to move on.
Windows 12 field guide. Time for the Windows 12 field guide.
That's right.